look around you. Where you are right now, as you're watching this, look around your house. There are tools you have you're not using that can actually fetch you a whole lot of funds.
Forget about what people are saying. Don't listen to what people are saying. What people say about you or think about you is none of your business.
Many entrepreneurs want to build a business at the same time feed from the business. It cannot work. In Lagos,
but you just get to do something. Stop waiting for manna to fall from heaven.
Never you at any point think you have 100% strength. It's not possible. So as a leader, you focus on your strength 100%, then your weakness, you get someone to fill it in. Now, the person you are bringing in, ensure that the person's weakness is your strength.
You have to come with something to the table. So what are you coming with as a woman? What are you bringing? Is it your intellect? Is it your beauty? We all know that beauty doesn't help anybody. If not, I'll be where Dangote is today.
Please, if you are listening to me, don't try and sell what is not sellable if you don't have the funds to push it.
Thank you for connecting with Simeon Ononobi today. Live sessions hold every Tuesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Please turn on post notifications for live updates.
Welcome to Connect with Simeon. And yes, I remain your truly Simeon Ononobi, co-founder, CEO at Connected Analytics, the rewards platform and data analytics product that we've sold to the market, and we're helping businesses grow daily. This program comes to you because of a need for us to be able to help the Nigerian and African economy to actually grow. So it's a place where we connect business owners, we connect entrepreneurs, we connect investors, and we also connect staff to make them only better. So the program comes to you every Tuesday, 5 p.m. West African Central Time, and also on Fridays, West African Time, by the same time, 5 p.m. Today, we'll be having a wonderful, wonderful guest. Against all odds, she has pulled through. She's really, really done a lot. And I have a lot of respect for her. People, with her condition would say, hey, what's the essence of even living? Why even hustle? Why try? But this lady has pulled it through. She's done a lot. And we're going to be talking about this. And this is to hope that someone out there listening would be inspired, would be, encouraged to, against all odds, just pull through. So she just walked into the studio. Her name remains Dr. Toyin Oshinowo. She's gonna correct me if I murder her name, but you know what, Dr. Toyin, welcome to the studios. Welcome to Connect with Simeon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Toyin, this has been a long time coming. Wait, let me correct it. Dr. Toyin, because a PhD holder in computer engineering, no be beans at all. She's done a lot. And I'm really, really honored to be here with you today. A lot of people are already joining in. I see you guys joining. Thank you for joining. And like I always say, after the interview, after we finish gisting, we'll put this on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, Connect with Simeon, you could always watch this video for years to come, because this is going to be an inspiring story, and I need you all guys to listen in. Thanks for coming, Dr. Toyin. So normally the tradition of this program is two things are very critical. We say it as it is. So the kind of people we bring are people that understand what it means to hustle, understand what it means to, against all odds, pull through in an African economy, in a Nigerian economy that is super, super hard. I'm an entrepreneur, three-time entrepreneur. I've had exits, I've had failures, and I know how hard it is to even, have daily bread. So, but people like you that inspire me a whole lot are people that we bring onto the show so that you can share your story. You founded companies where it's not possible for people in your situation. You've gone ahead to have a PhD. I don't want to talk about the situation. I want you to talk about yourself. So can you tell us about your past? Like, where did Dr. Toyin just emerge from? Where did you start from?
Okay. So if we go way, way, way back, I was born in Nigeria, and typical middle class, existence, all well and good. Went to secondary school, went to Queen's College, Yaba, and then had the opportunity to go to the United Kingdom for university. Now, if I take it back further, I have sickle cell anemia, more specifically, sickle cell beta thalassemia, which is not tested for in Nigeria. So there was a long period where my parents didn't know that I had a thing. Anyways, fast forward to university, and we're trying to decide, like, okay, what do we do? Like, university. Now, also, I have a twin sister who is Toyin Oshinowo, who is the famous architect who worked on the Maryland Mall projects, for those of us that are in Lagos. And my parents at one point wanted both of us to go to the same university. And if you're a twin, it's one of two things. It's either you want to get away from your twin as much as possible, or the two of you want to stay together in the same institution. So me wanting to go away and do my own thing, that scared the living daylights out of my parents. But that gave me the opportunity to grow as a human being. I decided to do computer systems engineering, primarily because I loved everything tech, even at a young age, solving problems, creating workflows. So I decided that this was what I wanted to do. And the first thing was, are you sure you want to do this? There are a whole bunch, like, that's not what women do. And I'm like, nah. I come from an all-girl family. My father didn't say, okay, because you're girls, you have to be in the kitchen. I was going around with my dad fixing light bulbs, and if the fuse went, I was the one that would fix it and all things like that. So for me, it was natural to go along those lines. So went to university, graduated. I graduated around the times when the markets crashed. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to find a job? And then I had an opportunity to do a doctorate and have it paid for me. So I jumped on that opportunity, got a doctorate, I think at the age of 29 stroke 30, wow, which was pretty young. That was an advantage and a disadvantage, because at that point, so the first time there was a market crash, when I graduated from my PhD, there was another market crash. So I was then in a situation where I had to think, okay, what am I going to do? Nobody's going to offer me a job in the United Kingdom. So let me go back to Nigeria. So that's how my Nigeria story started. So I get back to Nigeria, I do my NYC, I'm working at Stanbic IBTC, doing a very mundane job, which was calculating the indices that Stanbic bring out at the end of close of business. And I just decided, you know what, I can write a script and I don't have to spend 4 hours on this thing. And I did that, wrote the script, turned a 4-hour job into a 30-second job, and didn't realize it at the time, but I had written myself out of a job. NYC finished. Stanbic were like, okay, we want to put you on the graduate track. And I'm like, wait, I have a doctorate. I've automated how you guys calculate your indices. Various departments within Stanbic were chasing after me to do their indices for them as well. And you want to put me back on the graduate track. So that's when I decided, no, I don't want to do that. Moved, had my first taste of entrepreneurship, went into a company with a friend, and we went to bid for the Nigerian Stock Exchange redesign project, which that project will always have a special part in my heart, because as an entrepreneur and as a Nigerian, you always feel like you have to give back. You always feel like you have to leave your stance. And at the time we went to the stock exchange, it's kind of like, you people give out your stock prices for free on pieces of paper at the end of trade every day. That doesn't make sense. We're the only country in Africa that does that. So it was all about automation, creating a scenario where you could sell the data. So at least the stock exchange would be able to use that revenue. So that is a project, that's a notable project that I'm so happy with. After that, unfortunately, when you start a company, it's not only the technology, it's also the business side of things. And if you don't price your projects, it could kill your company, and it killed ours. So I then got a job at a bank in Nigeria, which I'm not going to mention because we have issues. Well, we don't have issues, but no, I have to talk about it. Anyway, so because then my brainchild from there was the SME Market Hub, which what I visualized.
We know.
Okay, what I visualized and what's transpired were not the same. And those are the things as a tech person, in some regards, you have to reconcile with. Just because you think something should be something doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the end product. And we'll get back to that. But I left that bank because I felt that they didn't really have a proper understanding of what it takes to work with a disability. Here's the thing, and I don't know why us as Black people, we do this, when we are quick to say we don't have a disability. Sickle cell, for all intents and purposes, regardless of how easy or how severe it is a disability. And once you wrap your head around that, it then becomes easier to maneuver through life, because you then don't feel that you have to be like everyone else, but then you have to hone in the skills to achieve a goal. So the way you might do it might not be the same as the average person. So that's one of the key things that Sickle has taught me, which again, I'll come back to that. So after GT, oh God, I did it anyways. I then decided, look, I don't want to work in a corporate environment anymore, because I feel in Nigeria, it's incredibly difficult trying to do that with a disability, plus being a female as well. So I decided, you know what, let's do the entrepreneur thing again. So myself and Lanre Edotun had conversations, because he was working with me on some projects. And we just decided, look, this is an idea. I see the value in it. You see the value in it. Let's do this. So that's how I became a co-founder of Field Insights. Oh, so that's where we are right now. That's my history.
I mean, talking about these things, it's like it's a joke, but I mean, I've seen people with disabilities, and it's like the end of the world for some people. How in the world did you pull through all those, critical moments where, I mean, at some point you should have felt like, why am I still doing this? Why am I going on? Why don't you just sit back and just wait for the, whatever comes to me? Why did you have to push through, trying to create opportunity for yourself and all that? The reason I'm saying this is a lot of Nigerians, we have our own personal issues. We have the, real life issues, and now compounding that with a medical issue. Like, why is Toyin continuously looking for, in quote, an upgrade? Why is Toyin continuously looking for some better life? How do you go through this crisis and still be Toyin? How?
there's no choice. I always find it fascinating. There is no choice. Like, it's the equivalent of if a shark stops in the water, it's dead. It has to continually move. If you're going through a bad day, typical example, if I'm down with a crisis, right, and I'm working in a corporate environment, 9 times out of 10, even though I'm sick, I'm still getting phone calls because work still goes on. You don't have a choice. Now, you can choose to be graceful about it and decide that it's not going to hold me back, or you could basically just decide to slump and do nothing. But the problem with slumping and doing nothing is the fact that you will be hungry. Because the way I look at it is this: my parents brought me into this world. At some point, they're going to leave me. And I am going to have to fend for myself. I was not brought up to think that the next thing I want to do is get married and have a man like take control. Fortunately, I have control issues, so that's not necessarily going to be possible. But it needs to be a situation where I can make my stamp on the world. People know who I am, and I also make enough money to enjoy myself. So if you have those things, there is no way you can sit down and say, you know what, I'm done with this life. I'm just going to sit down and do nothing. It's not possible.
Cool. Guys, you're hearing it from Toyin herself. Down with sickle cell, having all this crisis, but she's still gone through working in a bank, changing the way the banks work. I know some of our projects, and I know what she's done in those banks. She's built products even for the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and I've seen what she's done. Most notably, it's Field Insights. Can you tell us a bit about what Field Insight does? It used to be called a particular name, then it changed.
It used to be called Delivery Science.
Delivery Science.
Yeah. So basically, the layman's term would be we gather data in the field. And if any entrepreneur knows startups, the amount of pivoting that you will do before you actually land to that ideal value proposition, it does happen. So the idea is, if you have field agents who need to gather information, we automate forms, dynamic forms, and also collate that data in a way that a C-level exec can ingest it and make choices. The other part of the business also involves being able to track deliveries and also, more importantly, trucks. So it's somewhat similar to the Kobo 360 and Lorry models, but we are a technology company first. So the drive is about gathering data. So the trucks are more of a symptom because that particular industry is very fragmented. And what we were trying to do was automate a process where if you ordered a truck and you wanted your goods delivered, you knew when those goods were delivered, and if anything was going wrong with the truck, i.e. the truck has been parked somewhere for more than 2 hours, you would be notified and you'd be able to reach out to the driver to say, hey, what's going on? Because a lot of dodgy stuff happens in Nigeria. But yeah.
Cool. I mean, I know about the company. I know Larry, I know Chuka, I know yourself, I know, the fourth guy, Ore, and I know Ore. So I know what you guys are doing, and I know how wonderful you guys built the product. Last year, was that last year? Yes, we were in London together, where Google announced Field Insight as one of the companies, and yours truly, thank you, Cash, as one of the companies in Google Immersion, and we met and we talked about a lot of things. Top of the mind was also how staff, how a lot of entrepreneurs complain about staff and employment and employees and the issues around that. It's still a big problem. There's this study I hear that's out there that says almost 60 to 80% of Nigerians are unemployable. We see it on a day-to-day basis. What would be that advice? What have you done differently? I know you guys employ at Field Insights. I know you've done personal stuff. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur, you've been a staff, you've also, journeyed through building products, and so you've done it all. You've been an entrepreneur. So, what would be the advice? How do you get that staff? Like, how do you get Nigerians to actually become very valuable staff?
So for us at Field Insight, and I'm going to talk specifically with regards to developers, the financial constraints basically meant that we needed to hire staff that was straight out of university. Now, one of the advantages and disadvantages of that. One of the advantages is that they are at a point where you can mold them. So when it comes to certain things that in a corporate world you assume is a standard, so everybody knows what to do. With individuals who have just come out of university, random things can happen. Very random things can happen. So if you know that that's going to be your track, you're getting individuals who are straight out of university, you have to take the time to formulate an onboarding process. That's the first thing. If you do not take the time to standardize, you're going to run into problems. Now, for me, obviously, with the whole sickle, what tended to happen was I would be out for periods of a time at work. And as an entrepreneur, you need to make sure that if you are out for like 2-3 days, your company still runs on without you. That's the only way to survive in this game. So you need to come up with those standards. You need to make sure those standards are documented. You need to let your staff know these are the penalties for when things are not followed accordingly. And these are the benefits that can happen if so. The other thing that I found is people, if you make them feel that you care about them as a person, let's put the work skills aside. If you make them feel that you care, you do tend to get a lot more out of an individual. So one of the things that I always did with my staff, my product managers, was we would meet once a week. And after talking about the agenda for the week, we would sit down and I would ask them, Alpha, how's your day? What are you doing? And the other thing that I personally did was I was not expecting any of my staff to stay with me forever. So for the PMs that had said, okay, you know what, this is my career, I'm trying to figure out how to grow my career, I would also give them advice as to how to move on from Field Insight, which when you say it, it's a bit counterintuitive. But if you treat your staff like, one, they owe you, so they have to stay with you, and two, if they have to basically give you their life's blood and you give nothing back, they will leave you sharply. Developers, they're highly skilled individuals and they're very, very well sought after. It doesn't take much for a developer who's not happy with his environment to say, I'm out. And those ones won't even give you notice because they know 2 weeks later they'll be able to find another job. Yeah. So you need to have a relationship with your staff, where they feel you're fair, you're transparent with whatever it is that you're doing. You care. That is the major thing. They need to know that you care about them as individuals, apart from what they bring to the table. Because if you don't do that, they will just move very quickly.
Cool. Thanks. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's this, current situation where we're in a pandemic and it has snowballed into so many other things. So you have the, Judge, the riots in America, you have it spilling around the world. Then you now have this issue of rape in Nigeria. and
Yes.
it's been like terrible. I mean, I for one, I have at least, I think I work with about 50% of our staff strength as female. I don't know, I think 60% of our staff strength is female. And
That's good.
I mean, I have daughters, I have friends that have females, I have nieces. I just had a recent niece that's just about a week old. So
Oh,
I'm asking,
congratulations.
thank you very much. I'm an uncle. And I asked myself, how do we leapfrog this thing? Females are constantly abused at workplaces. Females are seen as tools to be played with. Now, you now rape them without making sense. How do you move? I mean, how do we take these things? How do we take it to that next level where we actually can fight for these rights? Because I know you must have gone through these issues. I mean, my
I
sister,
don't think there is.
everybody goes through these issues. I mean, I would even tell you, I've been in a meeting with my wife, and she was being sexually harassed while I was in the same meeting, like without them knowing that we're married, and you're asking yourself, just going to take a leak in a meeting and the female is being harassed, and I've seen it happen all the time. How do you protect females? How did you protect yourself from all this harassment, knowing that you had sickle cell, knowing that you had this, and you were also a female trying to beat yourself through this corporate world? How did you do it?
Growing up, I don't think there's any female in Nigeria. I can honestly say that there is no female in Nigeria that has not been sexually harassed. Rape is an extreme of that, but I don't think there's a female in Nigeria that has not been sexually harassed. Now, for me, it goes down to culture, and it's sad because it's both male and female that are doing this. So, in a case where growing up, my mother would teach us, like, don't go to a guy's house on your own. If you're going anywhere, let it be two people and not one. Even walking the streets in Ikoyi, it was like, don't walk on the streets on your own. Always go with someone. But the one thing that I've noticed, and this is from a lot of my male friends, rarely does the conversation of consent happen. Rarely. In fact, most families don't talk about the birds and the bees. They just assume that they will figure it out. So it's an awkward conversation. So when I say this, it's a problem that we cannot solve immediately. But the hope is that with the generations coming up, mothers and fathers actually have conversations with their children about consent, because that's a big thing, and also respect for females. The concept of gender roles in a family, I think, is absolutely ludicrous. You can have a boy in the kitchen and a girl washing the car. It might take the girl longer, but it is still possible. So having those gender roles fully defined and fleshed out, I think they don't make any sense. Now, when it comes to my staff, one of the key things I did, same as what my father used to tell me, if you are walking anywhere, do not go on your own. I will never send a female member of my staff to a client site on their own. But at the same time, I would never do that with a man either. So also, there is a no tolerance level in the office with regards to men trying it with female, and vice versa, because that does happen as well. Now, at the same time, if two people decide that they want to get it on in the office, well, not in the office, but you understand what I mean. I'm not a dictator, but you should be aware that if it is unrequited, is it unrequited? Well, that's not the right word, but if it's not reciprocal, then you need to stop that behavior. You need to stop it. Consent is key.
Yeah, I mean, I understand truly. I mean, we're men. We get excited when we see pretty ladies. It's understandable. When pretty ladies see when ladies see handsome guys, dudes, six pack and all, they're excited. It's understandable. But just ask for consent. Just ask for consent.
Yeah. Get that consent.
am happily married to a pretty lady, and I had to ask for consent.
I know. Good.
So I mean, this is something that really, really has touched close to heart. I mean, maybe because I have females as kids, and seeing them grow up and all that. I just can't imagine. I mean, I just read the news the other day. 11-month-old kid is being molested and raped, and I'm asking myself, does that even make sense? Like, which way do we go? Like, we try to leapfrog one, there's another problem. We try to leapfrog another, there's another problem. And I think we all should stand together. Like, we really need to stand together on this. The rape issue is really, 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 I mean, consent, you could have relationships, that's not a problem, but raping a female, like, not giving them the power is really unnecessary. It's really, really unnecessary. I mean, I am praying that the House of Assembly would move on this as fast as, I don't know if there's a castration. I believe there should be a castration law. I don't believe anybody should
I think they're gonna. I don't know. I think castration is a bit harsh. I think
it's a joke among the boys. So there's a group of friends of mine that have female kids, and we'll be talking about castration.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, touch these girls and all that stuff. So I mean, having said that, like, thanks. You've really opened my eye to a lot of things. What do you think after post-COVID? We're having issues with the pandemic, and business has gone down. Like, it's biting hard. What do you think will happen? What are your bets in terms of industries? What should people go after right now? What will be your bets? Should I go work in a pharmacy? Should I go work in tech farm or tech agric? Or what would be your bets? Like, give me just three of your bets.
Tech agric is actually very important, because at some point, Nigeria needs to come back and diversify. Oil is not going to get us anywhere. Let's be realistic. So that's definite. I don't want to say telemedicine, because I hate the concept of telemedicine, but if you're in the tech space, I think medical software is one of those things that's lacking. So my father owns a hospital, and obviously when COVID happened, there were no patients that came in. Those entities are dying because they're not getting the money that they were getting before. And the Nigerian health service is so fragmented and so dilapidated that I think we're getting to a point now where at least that industry needs to seriously look into how to automate systems so things are not so expensive. So things like telemedicine, being able to have a doctor's appointment online, if it's a non-serious issue, and then, going further down the workflow, I think that's something we can do. Third, logistics. Because logistics. Now, and I say this based on my experience of what has happened in Nigeria. When everything was locked down and people needed to order food or, I don't know, go to the grocery store or, I don't know, just have something delivered to the house, those guys on those bikes were our lifesavers. But again, it's a problem of everything being fragmented. How can we bring it together so that we actually have a system where the Okada riders are not just annoying mosquitoes on the road, but they're part of a network that are being monitored, that also have and you'd also be able to track your deliveries. Because when I'm in the United Kingdom, it's a wonderful thing. When I order something, I can literally see the dots just before it gets to my house. And I'm like, oh, it's here. In Nigeria, I'm expecting something from, I don't know, Jumia, whatever. I don't know when it's coming. I will get a text message in the morning, but I don't know. And I probably need to go to work, or I need to go out and buy some groceries. I need to do whatever. So being able to make that an easier way of life for the customer, but then also the logistics industry in itself, I think there's a lot that can happen there. And I think we should look towards actually building that up.
Cool. So
But that's
three
just me.
from Dr. Toyin is agri-tech, logitech, and medtech. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Toyin. If you have any questions for Dr. Toyin, I would love to have it. Everybody's making comments. I'm seeing, thank you very much, Ma. Good insights. Yes, she works for Field Insights. Good insights. Thank you very much for your comments. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, thank you. So at the end of the day, I mean, you've said what you've, advised. What would be your one critical advice to two sets of people? So you've been an entrepreneur and also you've been a staff. What would be your critical, just one advice you would give to a male, female seeking a job and someone trying to open a business? What would be your advice to this two set of people? Just one advice.
One advice. You are human. You will make mistakes. But you should learn from those mistakes. One thing I always tell my mentees, if you're going to fail early so you learn. Do not be afraid of failure, because that's the only way to learn. People can tell you this is how you're supposed to do things, but the reality is that you won't know until it has happened to you. Like that understanding, it won't happen until it's like, oh, penny has dropped. So I would say, yeah, know to be human, because failure is it's not a bad thing. It's your reaction to it that's bad or can be bad. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you very much. So, and it's a perfect advice coming from Toyin, and it works. It resonates around the two sets of people. Thank you very, very much, Toyin. Like I said, this video is going to be kept on YouTube for almost a year or longer, and you can always come back to it. I will bring Toyin back as many times as I can so that she could.
Yeah.
There's one thing we do here. We always get people to mentor people that come in or watch the video. So we've seen people being mentored to do cakes. We've seen people being mentored to start businesses. We've seen people even being mentored on how to become a good staff. And so please give us your time. If we reach out with one or two people that want to be mentored, please do help us with this so that we can make Nigeria a better place and ultimately make Africa
definitely
the continent we want to make it. Thank you very, very much, Toyin, for coming. Thank you. I appreciate your time. It was such a short time I could get you, but thank you for coming, and I know how busy you are. Please keep us updated on things that you're doing so that we could always shout it out. Thank you for being a true Nigerian.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. I appreciate you. So so that's Toyin, Dr. Toyin, our guest today on Connect with Simeon. Next week we have another female. On Friday next week we have another female, and that will be joining us. She is awesome. She is currently running Jumia as country head. She has been part. If you know fitness, you see her on Facebook. Gymming and pushing up. And Amolola will be here next week to join us and talk about what she's doing at Jumia. And also, from next week, we'll start giving out our gifts. We'll start some of our merchants on Thank You Cash. We'll be giving out lovely, lovely items. So from gift cards, what up to $5,000 to $50,000, so that you could actually stay safe during this COVID period, and you could also enjoy yourself. We have my team at Thank You Cash is doing a lot to help businesses. So if you want to reach out on thankyoucash.com. You would see hello at Thank You Cash and reach out to them. They would help you with what we are doing. God bless you. Thank you for listening. Please stay safe. Do not get caught up in this pandemic. It is not a good thing to be. It's not a good place to be. Stay safe. We are Connect with Simeon, with the female folks. Please, let's stop the rape. We know males are also raped, but the female folks are more, are more in this issue. So we're standing with them 100%. Stop the rape. Let's stop the rape together. We're supposed to be making Africa a better place, not make it a worse. Not make it worse than it is already. So let's make Africa a better place. Let's make Nigeria a better place. Let's stop the rape. Females are adorable. They're lovely. So let's not do things to them. God bless you. Thank you for connecting with me today. God bless you. Thank you. As you go about your daily duties, make sure you join us next week. We'll be having Tuesday sessions with a lovely guest, and Friday we'll be having Lola, head of Jumia, join us. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And this is me saying ciao. Goodbye.
Look around you. Where you are right now, as you're watching this, look around your house. There are tools you have you're not using that can actually fetch you a whole lot of funds.
Forget about what people are saying. Don't listen to what people are saying. What people say about you or think about you is none of your business.
Many entrepreneurs want to build a business at the same time feed from the business. It cannot work. In Lagos,
but you just get to do something. Stop waiting for the manna to fall from heaven.
never you at any point think you have 100% strength. It's not possible. So as a leader, you focus on your strength 100%, then your weakness, you get someone to fill it in. Now, the person you are bringing in, ensure that the person's weakness is your strength.
You have to come with something to the table. So what are you coming with as a woman? What are you bringing? Is it your intellect? Is it your beauty? We all know that beauty doesn't help anybody. If not, I'll be where Dangote is today.
Please, if you are listening to me, don't try and sell what is not sellable if you don't have the funds to push it.
Thank you for connecting with Simeon Ononobi today. Live sessions hold every Tuesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Please turn on post notifications for live updates.